Hi everyone, Sarah Pocaro. This video today is going to be for you if you are the kind of person who is a people pleaser. If you call yourself a people pleaser and you're wondering how to stop being a people pleaser because you're tired of being a doormat, you're tired of the dark side of people pleasing, you're tired of getting walked all over, you're tired of being taken advantage of, you're tired of it feeling so difficult to say no and feeling guilty for saying no, and you're wondering how to stop being nice because you still want to be nice. You just want to stop being taken advantage of. You want to stop letting people walk all over you, and you want to start and begin being able to set boundaries with people. So if that is you, then this video is for you. Today, we are going to go over 13 different ways to stop people pleasing. We're going to also get into the reasons why some of these ways may not work for you and what to do about it. So make sure to stick around for the end. So 13 different ways to stop being a people pleaser, stop being a doormat, find it easier to say no and set boundaries without feeling bad or guilty, and how to stop being a nice person while still being a nice person. So there's nothing inherently wrong with being nice or kind to someone else. In fact, it's a pretty valuable trait and can take you pretty far in life, right? And there's even that phrase, kill them with kindness. But it is also something that you may want to avoid, and especially for being nice to disappoint others. It can put a lot of pressure on yourself to live up to this ideal image that you just have to be nice all the time. And there's a lot of people pleasers out there who consciously choose to be nice and act this way because they're afraid. They have fear. They hold on to this fear, the fear of upsetting others, and they don't like upsetting others. But in that, find a lot of conflict anyway. So being nice and being a people pleaser can be a great way to seemingly avoid conflict, but actually what happens is it creates a lot of conflict internally. It creates a lot of conflict within yourself because then you hold on to anger and resentment because they are taking advantage of you and you're feeling like a doormat. So in the long run, it leaves you feeling drained and unhappy, exhausted and tired, overworked, overwhelmed, all those things. So it's really, really difficult to be true to yourself when you're always changing your actions and your words based upon what you think that other people want and based upon pleasing other people. It becomes really easy to focus the majority of your energy outward on other people and pleasing other people rather than focusing on providing yourself with happiness and really tuning into what it is that you need to do to care for you so that there's a good balance of being involved with pleasing other people and also having a life that is pleasing to yourself. So if you are an overgiver, an oversharer, a people pleaser, you more than likely are experiencing the repercussions of this, feeling low self-worth, low self-esteem, feeling the pressure, the heaviness, and the burden of having so many expectations on you, and have really, really poor coping skills. So these are 13 different things that you can do to stop being a people pleaser today, to begin to put yourself first without feeling bad or guilty, to begin saying no, to accept yourself and become a much happier human being. And remember, these are going to be very, very limited because in this video, we cannot get to the core and the root of the beliefs that you developed about yourself, like that you're unworthy and you're undeserving, that you feel bad saying no. All of those are feelings that are connected to inner unconscious beliefs that you have about yourself. So that's really the most powerful place that you can do the inner work to heal. But in the meantime, before we get the opportunity to work one-to-one, you may find that this video was helpful and resourceful. The number one tip that you can utilize to stop people pleasing is to be true to yourself instead of trying to fit in, right? So many people pleasers suffer from FOMO, the fear of missing out. So they say yes to everything. And in that, they're trying to constantly fit in so that they can be accepted and feel appreciated and receive that connection, that feeling of happiness when you get when you are connected with people. And the most important thing to remember about your behavior, about the actions that you have are those, am I doing this for me? Or am I doing this so that they will love, accept, appreciate me, honor me, feel proud of me so that I will fit in with them or within that group? So avoid doing those things that make you just look good in someone else's eyes and stick to what you know is right for you. And you'll know it because you'll get a feeling inside of you that something is off and that you're lying to yourself. If you say, no, I'm doing this for me, you'll get that feeling inside that will go almost like a nudge of an elbow to say, you know, that's not true. So if you get put on the spot and you get asked to do something that you don't feel comfortable with or that you don't want to do, things that you can say to stay true to yourself instead of no are, thank you for asking me. Let me get back to you. I need to check my calendar. I need to time to think about that. I need to make sure that I have nothing else going on. Those are ways that you can create space to stay true to you, to really connect with yourself instead of just jumping on the people pleasing bus to ride it because that's what you're used to doing. So you can stop being a people pleaser, not by changing who you are, but instead of just jumping on saying yes all the time, just saying those things instead of saying no, because you probably feel bad or guilty saying no, saying those things, and people will respect you for it. More than likely, the answer that you'll receive from the person who asks or requests that of you is, okay, just get back to me, or okay, let me know. And that is a good first step to go to the second step. The second step is learn to say no. And that can be a really, really hard one. That's why I just gave you those alternatives to say no. Let me check my calendar. Thank you for asking me. Thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate that you thought of me. I'm not sure if I can fully commit yet. I will get back to you. I need to find out if I have anything else going on. I more than likely have a family and friends. I need to find out if we are doing anything else. I will let you know. That's a much easier route to go for people pleasers generally than just saying no, because saying no can feel really, really hard because being a people pleaser has such deep roots. All of those things that you had to do to say yes in your childhood to feel safe and protected, those are where those roots are. So it can become such a deeply ingrained habit that you have to tell yourself it's okay to say no. It's okay to say something other than yes right away. And it's okay to give myself this space. It's okay to put myself first and say, I'm not sure if I can fully commit, instead of maybe saying no and not jumping the gun to just say yes. And the most important part about learning to say no, or learning to say a no alternative, as I like to refer to them as, is reminding yourself it's okay. It's okay to say, let me get back to you. Make sure if you use that alternative to get back to them. Otherwise, you may find that you're in an uncomfortable conversation or argument. But saying no isn't selfish. Saying no creates space. Saying no prevents overwhelm. It prevents burnout. It prevents frustration, because internally you may not have the time or the bandwidth or the capacity or the energy to do the thing that they want you to do. And when you say no, you're actually respecting yourself and you're respecting them, because then you're not going to do a partial job or like a half-assed job. They will get the opportunity to go find someone else who will be fully committed, because you may not be able to fully commit mentally, physically, energetically. And that leads into the third step, which is creating and setting healthy boundaries. Ooh, boundaries. People pleasers are often unaware of the boundaries that they need to set in their lives. They're often aware that they need to set them, but not where they need to set them or how they need to set them. So that's why this can feel really, really difficult at first. So it is important to start noticing what's happening and identify the things that need to change, the ways that they need to change, the areas in which they need to change in. So if you're a list person, you can begin by making a list of the things that make you feel happy, that you receive pleasure in, or the things that make you feel angry and resentful. And it can be small little things like going to get the coffee for a coworker every time you're asked, or, doing something for your kids when you've told them a million times, I'm not going to do this for you anymore. Making a list of those things that make you feel resentful and angry, because those are the two most common feelings that come up. And this simple strategy, just making a list, can allow you to really focus on and pinpoint the areas in your life where you need to set boundaries, where you need to follow up with the consequences from the boundaries that you set if you have lacked in that area. And know that boundaries give you the ability to say no when another person asks for help or is taking advantage of your time, thus making you the doormat that they walk all over. And remember that no is not a selfish word. Look at toddlers, they say it all the time. No, 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 no. So if you were that confident when you were young to say no to your parents, usually it's the first word that kids learn. That says volume, that speaks volumes. That says a lot. If it's so easy for them to say no when they're younger, and it's usually the first word that people learn, where, why, and how did that change? How did it become so difficult for people to say no growing up when it was so easy when they were younger? Here's the beautiful one. Stop making excuses. Excuses are like, you know what? So the moment that you stop making excuses, the moment that you stop saying, yeah, but, or, well, if, and you stop with the excuses, because whatever follows those words, yeah, but, or what if, it is just an excuse. It's just your lips flapping, your mouth moving, and it really doesn't have any value. So stop making excuses. Excuses have no value, and excuses are not going to help you live and love the life that you deserve and desire. So what you really want to do, or need to do, if you want to be more in control of your life and feel less like a victim of other people's demands, is stop making excuses. If you make an excuse every time someone asks you to do something for them, you say, well, I'm sorry, I'm afraid I can't do that, because then it will lead to more work-life balance, to more happiness in your life. You can say, sorry, I'm not able to. I wouldn't advise saying sorry, because sorry is an apology. You didn't do anything wrong by just saying, I can't do that for you. So you don't need to say sorry, but sometimes people, sorry is this like go-to word that they say. So, I mean, if that resonates with you, if that softens the blow, if that makes you feel a little bit better, you can say, sorry, I can't because I've got dinner with a friend. I am sorry that I can't because my kids have a soccer game, whatever it is, but you've got to stop making excuses for letting people walk all over you. So next time someone asks for a favor or asks for you to do something that takes up your time or energy, just say, you can't. I can't. I'm busy. Or you can soften the blow again by saying, thank you for asking me. I wish I could, but don't make an excuse for why you take that on when you don't want to or you're unable to. So stop making excuses to yourself. You can tell them, hey, I know this sounds really silly, but I'm actually working on personal boundaries, and this is a part of that. I know I used to always do that for you, but I can't do that for you any longer. If they respect you, they'll understand that and get that that's important to you. The next thing that you need to do in order to stop being someone that gets walked all over, to stop being a doormat, to set healthier boundaries, and to learn to say no and stop being a people pleaser, is listen. Stop talking and just listen. Listen to your inner voice. That inner voice is talking to you. It's telling you, it's teaching you, it's trying to guide you. But the problem is we don't listen to it. We talk over it. We make excuses. We try to make justifications and validations. And well, if I don't do this, then they, and there's this dialogue and this conversation that goes on in our mind. So listen to that inner voice. It's telling you what you really want out of your life and what you really want for yourself. And if you listen even further, it'll tell you what to do to get just that. If you want to stop being a people pleaser, you got to start listening to what that inner voice is telling you. That voice may be telling you that certain people in your life are toxic, are taking advantage of you, and that they're not worth it. It may be shouting at you, going, what is wrong with you? Because it's trying to get you to stop doing the thing that you're doing, to stop being a people pleaser, to stop being a doormat. And it's trying to support you and help you in setting healthy boundaries, those things that you need to do. In order to do that, but you won't shut up and listen. You got to stop. You got to listen to that inner voice, like really hear what it's trying to tell you. Stop letting it be drowned out by all that other noise. Meditation is a great space to do this in. Quietness, stillness, journaling is a great space to do this in. Just free flowing, free writing. And here's the next thing, and here's the thing that people pleasers have such a difficult time with: spending time alone. Spending time with yourself, learning about yourself. Spending time alone is essential for your physical health, for your mental health. And many, many people are afraid of being alone. They worry that they'll become bored or lonely or anxious, but learning to spend time. And I want to actually change that, because so many people have fear around the word alone, and they don't want to be alone. So changing it, spending time with yourself. It's the same thing, actually much more beautiful way to say the same thing. Instead of being alone, being with yourself. And being alone are all these wrong ideas that come from society, and there's this hyper-connected world that finds that, oh, if I'm on social media, if I'm doing this stuff, if I'm distracting myself, then I won't be alone. But it's not like that. Enjoy the time with yourself. Learn to practice and really hold that sacred space of solitude, connection, and clarity with yourself. That is where your mind is going to be able to be more clear when you spend time with yourself and you make yourself a priority and you give yourself the gift of time with yourself every single day. There are so many benefits of being with yourself. So even just commit to trying it out for 3 days. You can do anything for 3 days. So spending time with yourself, even if it's just 10 minutes for 3 days, that will exponentially help you stop being a people pleaser and stop being a doormat and stop getting walked all over, because you will receive clarity and conviction of what you really want, and practice. You can even practice in the mirror those ways to say that you're not available. And remember that you can't please everyone. That's the next step. Remember, you cannot please everyone, and it is not your job. It is not your job to please others or to make them happy. Probably tried for a long time and you can't. That's why it feels like a really tough pill to swallow, because you have to understand, know, and learn that you can't make everyone happy. That's a very, very simple truth. You can't please everyone all the time because everyone has different wants, needs, and desires, and you cannot be all of that for all of them. So acting a certain way to please one person, if you try that with another person, that very same thing may offend or upset them. So you've got to be all these things for all these different people. No wonder you feel so worn out, drained, and exhausted. And that's what it feels like to be a people pleaser. So taking this next step is practicing and learning to be assertive, practicing and learning to stand up for yourself. And you can do that in those softer ways, like I talked about before. A more hard way would be to say, nope, ha, nope. You don't want to be known as an asshole, especially if you're used to being seen and known as a people pleaser. But there are going to be times, a lot of times, unless you stand up for yourself, there are going to be many, many times where people don't know that they're bothering you. People don't know that you are angry because they request something from you constantly, because you have a history of saying yes and doing it. So people are going to still come to you and they're not going to know that they're upsetting you. They're not going to know that they're bothering you. And it's your job, because nobody can read anyone else's mind. It's your job to convey that. It's your job to communicate that. And these might be friends or family. They might be loved ones. They're more than likely people who have good intentions, people who you've done things for in the past. But if you've had enough and you've reached that breaking point, it is time to take a stand. It is time to be assertive. It's time to communicate. It's time to convey that. And it's time to start speaking up for yourself and say that. And you can say that, you can tell them that in any number of ways. Like I said, you can be blunt, you can be upfront, and you can say, I'm taking time for myself right now. I'm actually done doing anything for anyone else right now. I am focusing on working on me. Or you might want to be a little more covert about it and just change the subject. You can also use body language to get your point across. That takes a little bit more practice, but you can say, really? So no, I can't do that for you, but thank you for asking me. But remember, with all of this, when you're practicing being assertive and standing up for yourself in whatever way that works best for you, it's important to not let others dictate how you live your life and how you feel about yourself. And again, this is where the inner work comes in. This is where getting to the thoughts, connecting to the beliefs that you have about yourself, where they come from, getting to the core and the root of them, if they're ones that don't serve you, if they're ones that led to you being a perpetual people pleaser. That's where the inner work can quickly transform and change everything about your life. And this is where the next step comes in, asking others for help. Asking other people for help is a big step and an important step in recovering from or overcoming being a people pleaser or being a doormat, because more than likely you're going to be met with feelings of guilt, with feelings of heaviness, with feelings like you're doing something wrong because you're finally standing up for yourself and you're changing. So it's not going to be easy, because more than likely you've been the go-to person. You've been the one that everyone asked for help. And now the tables are turning and the roles are reversing and you're asking for help. So you may not feel used to it because you've been that go-to person and now you're going to another person for help with this. So this is where working with someone who works in that space to transform your unconscious beliefs that become your conscious actions really makes a significant difference. That is exactly what I utilize, is that method of transformational healing with my clients so they get fast change for that. But if you go to a trusted friend, if you go to a family member, if you go to a counselor or a therapist, to be able to process this and give you a helpful insight and perspective on how they feel, maybe when people say no to them. I have an exercise that does that inside of my Transforming Past Pain to Present Power program that does just that. So you can see that everyone does it, and it's actually not as scary as you thought, because we can create these scary big things in our mind, but when you actually put it into practice and into play, especially with other people who experience the same thing, you get a different perception of it. This leads to the next step, which is accepting yourself. People pleasers have a really difficult time accepting themselves and being okay with who they are and loving who they are. They generally make themselves wrong for all the ways that they are. And that's what shame and guilt do to you. And society is such a culprit of this. It tells us that we have these flaws that are undesirable and that we're less than perfect, that we're not good enough. And when you give into people pleasing, what happens is that you lose sight and you lose touch of who you truly are, of who you are at your core, who you were put here to be, who you were destined to be, and who you were designed to be. And you begin to believe that your value and your worth is measured by what other people think of you. And this is not the case. And there's another exercise I have within my program called the acceptance paradox, truly just accepting and being with what is, but not with the excuse of, well, it is what it is. That's a different kind of energy and a different place that you're coming from. And the more time and energy that you spend trying to please someone else, the less time and energy you have for yourself and all of those things that matter the most to you, the small things, the big things, everything in between. And when you don't spend time and space in there, you're going to spend time and space out there and really, really being dissatisfied with your life in every way. So the best way out of this situation is to stop caring about what other people think of you and not take anything personally, and fully embrace, love, accept, and trust yourself for who you are. And again, that's where the inner work comes into play. And just knowing there's no such thing as perfect, right? You're not going to perfectly accomplish and achieve everything. And many people get into that space where they get stuck and they get struggle and they stop being honest with themselves about who they are, because they're thinking, well, I just need to please everyone else. If they're happy, then I'm happy, right? And there's even phrases out there like that, like happy wife, happy life. Not true. Let's just look at the divorce rate to see that, right? They can be happy, but it may not be with you, right? And we're not going to go down that road right now. But accepting yourself, acknowledging your strengths, acknowledging your weaknesses, using them all to your advantage. When you accept yourself for who you are, then everyone else will follow suit, because you'll feel more confident. You will be able to speak up and use your voice without fear. You'll be able to say, I can't right now, or no, sorry, but not be sorry about it. And this leads to the next thing. You'll be able to be more honest about your feelings, and you will be able to speak up and say, hey, every time you ask me to do that for you, I get frustrated. And I would appreciate if you could see who else is available to ask. Being honest is the best way to be honest with yourself and true to yourself, and really hold space for that relationship if it does mean anything to you, right? Honesty is the best policy. And in life, you're going to face rejection, and you're going to need to be ready for that, because it is going to happen. It happens all the time. But when you're honest with people, it opens up new doors for you. When you're honest with people and you can say the things that you mean to say, that you want to say, without being afraid to say them, then there's space for respect. Then those people respect you. They may not like what you say, but they respect you for saying it because you were truthful and honest to yourself. So when you're dealing with family members or friends, with whoever, honesty is a virtue, and it's always better to say what's on your mind and to speak what's on your heart than to harbor feelings of anger, feelings of resentment, and just be mad at somebody without them knowing about it, all because you were a people pleaser. And you didn't say anything, right? Again, they can't read your mind. They don't know what your true intentions and motivations are behind what you say. So you may start being really passive aggressive with them, and they may think, whoa, what's up? What's wrong with you? But when you're open and you're honest about your feelings, it helps other people to better understand you as well. And then it releases the next step. The next step is to not dwell on your past. So it frees you from that. You don't need to dwell on your past. Your thoughts are not going to ruminate about what you should have said, what you could have what you could have said, what you'll say next time. And you're going to be ready, right? Like a gun that's loaded. You're ready to fire next time they come at you or ask you to do something for them. You don't need to hold on to that anymore. That's so much work. And it prevents you from dwelling on your past. Dwelling on the past, all it does is just bring out negative feelings and emotions. And you're going to feel resentful. You're going to feel more regretful. You're going to feel guilty. And this is not something that you want to continue to do because it just hurts you. So people say, let it go, start over, choose again, and let go of those things that are holding you down and weighing you back from being your best self, from being that person that they really love being around. No one loves being around an angry, resentful person. So in this space, you may need to even cut ties with the people who are used to taking advantage of you as the people pleaser and who are used to walking all over you and using you as a doormat. And that's okay. If you truly, truly want to stop being a people pleaser, you will not focus on your past regrets anymore. You will see them as past experiences. And actually, I love the word opportunity. You'll see them as past opportunities to learn what you need to focus on now in your life to have a better life moving forward. And only think about those actions that you can take right now that will make you happy. And this leads to the next step. Make yourself happy, make yourself a priority. It's totally normal to do that. And yes, if you need permission, yes, it is okay to do that. It is okay to make yourself happy. It's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to fill your cup first. And it's important to know how much you can give if you don't have anything to give, right? How can you pour from an empty cup? It's important to know that you need to first give to yourself before others can take from you. And if your cup is full of anger and resentment from people who are taking so much of your time and you are giving it away because you're a people pleaser, the time has come to stop being a people pleaser. And no one else can make you stop being a people pleaser. You have to choose that for yourself. It's about understanding the quality of life that you want and what you're going to need to do, what actions and steps you're going to need to take to get that quality of life. It's not just going to come magically and like land up on your doorstep. So people pleasers are often very stressed and very unhappy, and they never seem to know when to stop being so accommodating. There are no boundaries. So it can be really hard for a lot of people to break the cycle of people pleasing, but it's important to know that you need to if you truly want to be healthy and happy and have a good quality of life in all areas of your life. So you've got to begin to make yourself a priority, to put your needs first, to take care of yourself first. And then, yes, of course, it's still okay to help out and take care of others, but you might disappoint some people, right? Especially for people who are used to taking advantage of you in the beginning until they adjust, until they become acclimated with your new boundaries and your new ways of being. So that's all a part of making yourself happy. Being a people pleaser is not a healthy way of living. It's a very overworked, very exhausting, very overrun way of living, and it can lead to even dis-ease or physical distress, disease, distress, all of those things begin with dis. And all you're doing is dissing yourself when you're a people pleaser. And it is important, if you want to regain control and happiness of your life, to know that you are important too. You are just as important as all of those things that you were putting importance on. You are just as important as that person who was asking you to do all those things that you said yes to. You are equally as important. It's not that they're more important and you're down here. No. That's got to go. People pleasing can begin to feel like a habit that feels difficult to break out of, but with continued action, with repetition, and perseverance, anything is possible. The mind learns by repetition. So continue to repeat these things, continue to practice these things. And the biggest thing that you can do is to get to the unconscious root of where these are connected to, the beliefs that you have about yourself. Where did you begin to believe, and what had you believe that you have to say yes, and you have to be a people pleaser, to be liked, to be loved, to be respected, to be admired, to be adored, to be appreciated, to have friends, to have your family love, adore you. Like, where did that come from? So begin to connect to those roots there. And remember that you deserve happiness too. You're doing those things to make other people happy. You deserve that same feeling of happiness, that same level of happiness. And you deserve to have your needs fulfilled as well. So with all of that said, those are 13 different ways that you can stop being a people pleaser, stop being a doormat, stop letting people walk all over you. And if you are ready to completely transform and break through that, and you find it difficult to do on your own, I completely understand. I used to be there as well. And that is what transforming past pain to present power is all about, is getting to the core and getting to the root of that, rewiring and reprogramming those unconscious beliefs that you have about yourself that keep you in those people pleasing habits and cycles, and completely breaking free from them. So there's more information about that program and possibly working together one-on-one if we're a good fit to do so in the links below this video. But until then, I hope you like this video about how to stop being a people pleaser.